Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we had an off-season trade to make our team a little bit better, and we also started up the season simulation. And as you can see so far, we are 25, 12, and 4, and we have been doing pretty solid considering the fact we lost McDavid last season. Our team has been pretty good, I'd say. There has been a couple of problems, but for the most part, like, this addition of Ken Sanders has been pretty good for the stop line. As you can see, he's on a career pace right now, on pace for 70 points. And yeah, he's definitely been picking up some assists on some Asher Vance goals. I don't know why Vance was actually at center. I just realized that. Did I do that? If I did that in last episode, I honestly don't remember. I thought I had Vance on the wing. Maybe that's why Vance wasn't... Vance was scoring. Huh. Was I doing that? Yeah, I must have been doing that, because Reefers should be the one that's taking the draws. Yeah, I was doing Vance at the draw. Interesting. Maybe I'll keep Vance actually at center, because the takeaway number is not as good, but the face-off numbers were actually really good from Vance. I'll probably go Vance back to the left side just for now. But anyways, what I was saying anyways, we got some good young players into our lineup like Martins this season and Zubris, and so far I think our team has been pretty balanced. Our team looks pretty deep on paper, so I don't really feel like there's the need to really make much changes. Obviously there is going to be a couple changes we make, but in general I think our team is pretty much ready to go for another playoff run. It's just all about capitalizing in the playoff opportunities we get, and hopefully we could get pretty far this year and like win another Stanley Cup, because we only have one cup in this franchise mode, which honestly I feel like by now we should have more than one, but hopefully Vance could get us to another Stanley Cup soon, because that would be great to add another one to our repertoire. And first, before we get into simulating the rest of the regular season and maybe making some changes, I do have a comment from Michael Dost. He says, "School could bring you back those picks you gave up to get on getting Colonel Sanders from Calgary." So yeah, that is true. If we wanted to get rid of Skula. He also says, "Thing is, these picks aren't really that important to you unless first or second round, as you have depth. Maybe instead of picks, you get a 79 to 81 overall young forward to fill in for Skula eventually. Either way, I think Skula has seen his time come and go in Chicago, and I would tend to agree with that. I think the best course of action with Skula, since he is signed for next season as well, is probably to trade him at this upcoming draft, because of the fact we will need that cap space to resign guys like Recchi, to resign, I believe, Kabanov. There's a couple guys that need to be re-signed this offseason, so I think moving away Skula in the offseason at the draft is best, probably what we'll end up doing. And yeah, we'll probably end up trying looking for more of a roster player to take over his spot than actually trading for picks, because we got so much prospects and young guys in a roster that it's just not really worth it to trade for more picks in the draft and keep on building up our prospect pool even more so when there's guys in our system that could literally jump in the NHL right now too. So. And then finally, Michael also says maybe hire a goalie coach or an assistant NHL coach that focuses on defense. I think when you hired Joe Thornton for Anchorage Ice Tigers, the defense chemistry immediately jumped. So, yeah, we could look definitely at that. I don't know if we, I think we don't have a goalie coach for sure. I'm not 100% sure on the assistant coach, so let me take a look at that, because I haven't really looked at that. We do have a couple of, we actually do have an assistant and an associate. They're more generalists, though. Their defense is apparently A+, so they should be helping out defensively, and Kopitar is also technically a better coach at defensive men, which is interesting. So technically we should be a good defensive team at this stage, but apparently we're not. So I'm going to probably, since our goaltending numbers aren't that great, look for a goalie coach. So let's fire. We're going to look for a goalie coach for this team. I don't normally hire goalie coaches because it doesn't really matter that much, or at least I feel like it doesn't, but who wants to be a good coach for our goaltenders? Victor Hedman's the best one out there right now for coaches. Do you want to be our goalie coach? Let's just look for the most, the best in terms of teaching maybe, or something like that. Victor Hedman actually might be the best option. Actually, is there a goaltending set? No, there's not. There's this guy who's 64 already. Hedman might be our goalie coach. There is an A as well, and this guy who's much cheaper. You know, I might take this guy just because he's much cheaper. Make him our goalie coach. And who knows, maybe this guy will become a head coach someday. But we'll make him our NHL goalie coach. And give him some more money. And hopefully He accepts that. NHL goalie coach, there we go. And if he accepts that, that hopefully should help us out a little bit, having an actual goalie coach in our lineup to make us a bit of a better defensive team, because I'd say we've been a good defensive team in a sense, but our goaltending numbers haven't really been there, so hopefully the goaltending can improve with a coach. But I think that's the only thing we're going to do in terms of changes to this team, unless once we're at the trade deadline, we feel like we need to make a trade, but I don't think this team is going to need to make a trade. But who knows, maybe we will make something anyways. We don't really have a whole lot of cap space to work with, so it's probably best that we don't. But let's advance a few days here via this screen instead, just so we could see if we get that goalie coach in. There we go. So Robinson Siglet is now our NHL goaltending coach, and we'll see if that ends up helping the defensive numbers a little bit. Let me actually go to edit lines here quickly. I will show you guys the goaltending numbers right now, and we'll take a look at it at the end of the season to see if we actually have improved. So Howden's got an 895 and Scavello's got an 897. So will both of them be above a 900 by the end of the season? Drop your predictions down below. I don't know if they will. I feel like they might just barely be over 900 by the end of the season, but it's really tough to tell, honestly, because the simulation's kind of weird sometimes. So let's go to the end of January, see if we keep on winning some games here. But I honestly don't think we're going to be making really any trades. I'd rather just... Wow, okay, 8-1 loss. Oof. Couple losses after losing our coach. And oh man, we had a defensive injury. That's not great. Ovechkin has been injured with a concussion until March the 3rd. So at least he will be back for the playoffs. But that's a pretty big injury to have at this stage. Let me actually stop the simulation. Brennan Bales is back. So actually we did have injuries before this. So maybe that's also why we're a little bit worse. So we'll go Bales back in, and then we'll keep the rest of that the same. I think I am going to keep Lane Weeks in the lineup. Actually, Lane Weeks wasn't that good. And we'll keep Patterson in there for now. I don't really know who I want to be playing. Let's stop the sim for a second. We're losing a lot of games all of a sudden. We've lost 5 in a row. I don't really know why, but apparently that goalie coach is not really helping. Let me go to edit lines here as well. Again, see if we can rework our lines a bit since we did just lose Ovechkin. We will move Glenn Morris back into the top 4, and we'll run these two on the bottom 6, or top 6, I should say, I guess. Yeah, I guess we'll keep the rest of that the same. How are their numbers looking now? Scavella's improved. That's good. But Howden's got an 891 now. Yikes. Yeah, I don't really know what they necessarily do. At least Ovechkin will be back in March, but I'm going to keep the team as is, even though we're on a losing streak. I feel like even though we're having a kind of a weird season, we're all of a sudden going to find ourselves in the playoffs, because that's just how this game works. You don't necessarily need to have a dominant season. Hey, look, there's 2 good defensive games in a row. So that should help, hypothetically, Howden's numbers quite a bit, because he only allows 2 goals in 2 games. I hope that helped him out a lot. Let's go to the 1st of March, because the deadline's on March the 8th. There's another game with only 1 goal against and a shutout, so there's some much better defensive hockey right there. But then we have a 5-1 loss, of course. 9-0 win. Yeah, we're definitely improving, I'd say, defensively. And our offense is still crushing it, but... Oh no, not another defensive injury. Gordon Lowry out till March the 4th. I think I'm just going to let it put in a forward. I honestly don't care, because we're well above 500. We should be a playoff team, and at least these guys are going to be back relatively soon from their injuries, both of them. Ovechkin is actually back now. So we'll put Ovechkin where Lowry was. And then, yeah, he actually is already in that spot. That's good. And then once Lowry's back, we'll put Lowry in here, and then Ovechkin will go back in where Parstein was. And Parstein will get moved out, and the Ovechkin will probably get moved back for Len Morris into the top 4. Likely. Okay. So we are 35-19-5. We are currently 2nd best in our division. We're way behind the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars are killing it this season. 10 points back of them. But we are still in a pretty good spot. The last wildcard spot in the Western Conference has 66 points. So yeah, we're in a good spot. We don't really need to worry too much unless we go on a major losing streak. But let's go to a day before the deadline. See what we do in these last 3 games up to the deadline. And now School has been injured. Jeez, we're getting slapped with injuries at like the wrong time possible. Let's go replace player. At least Skula will be back relatively soon. Lowry is back to full health. That's good, because that means our defensive core is nice and healthy. So we'll go Lowry back in, and Ovechkin will go in for Steen. And Ovechkin will go back into the top 4. There we go. Game against Los Angeles is a 6-2 win. Yeah, we're 37-20-5 a day before the deadline. And yeah, Vance is definitely hitting another 50-goal season this year. That's really good. I was expecting his offense to decline quite a bit after losing McDavid, but it's kind of on the similar level, because I feel like he should hit still 100 points this year, or close to it. He might have like 90-something points, but he's been pretty good. Currently with our 79 points, though, we're not even like a top 5 team in the league right now, which is interesting, but I think we're still doing good enough. Like, is the goaltending numbers improving? That's one thing I want to take a look at. Are they improving? They are improving, but they're still not really that insane, but there has been much more shutouts for Howden recently. He's at a 902 instead of the 895 I think he was at before, and then Scavella's 897 has improved to a 900. So I think, I don't really think there's need for any changes. Damsky's going to be playing second line right now while Skula is injured. And we do got guys in the system we could call up, like Gustafsson, who's jumped up to an 81 now. My God. So yeah, this guy could easily get thrown into our lineup if we really want to. There's Laura Kynan, who's developing quite nicely as well. Burish, like, I honestly don't think there's a need to make any changes. Gustavo Brown. Kachuk for defensively. Yeah, like, I don't think I need to make any changes. I'm going to keep it as is. I wouldn't mind getting Gustafsson into our NHL lineup right now, but at the same time, I might have to honestly just wait till next season. Unless I was to trade Skula away right now, but I don't think that makes sense. Because how much points is Skula actually on? I do want to only take a look at Skula, because he is back in a week. So Skula has got 55 points in 61 games. He has improved a lot goal scoring wise. Yeah, I think we need that secondary scoring like he's providing right now. Hopefully he has a better playoffs than last year, though. That's the only thing I have for him. But I think we're definitely going to still be trading him at the draft. But I think for right now, we're keeping the team the same for the rest of the season. I just don't feel like this team needs a drastic change. I'm going to still advance into the deadline just to see if there's anything out there that kind of piques my interest, but I don't think I need to make a trade. I just hope that we don't suffer any like injuries near the end of the season. I don't need a big goaltender like that, especially at that contract. Berkeley Catan, no, not really. Halton, no. Quinn Hughes is kind of intriguing, but 11.5 is not really. Yeah, I don't see the need to bring in any of those guys. A lot of them have bad contracts, so let's exit out of this and not make a trade. I just don't think I need to. Like, if I need to actually make any changes, it's about calling guys up from the minors. And that's pretty much it. Okay, let's go to when Skula is back, which I think is this game against the Rangers around. Guy on waivers, a depth defenseman, and 75 at 25 is nothing. We got a bunch better guys in the system. And Skula is back. That's good. We had 2 straight wins with some good defensive efforts again, so this team at least is improving, it seems like, with the addition of the goalie coach. Maybe it's just we're actually playing better than we were before, too. Maybe it's not the goalie coach that's making the difference. But let's keep on trucking here and get the rest of the season done. But we definitely, I'd say, are a playoff team. It's just all about now capitalizing on that playoff success and going as far as possible. Samsonov on waivers, also not really that much of anything, so don't need you. There's 3 straight losses. There's a shootout win, though. And now Pope has been injured, so we'll just go replace player because we do got a depth guy at least. But we are kind of suffering a lot of losses near the end of the season, but that might be okay. Because if we're a wild card team even, that's okay, because maybe we'll actually win the Stanley Cup. 90 points. We're in a good spot. And yeah, Vance is 1 goal away from hitting 50 goals. He's only got 10 games left in the season now, so he might not hit 100 points this year. But 50 goals again for him, obviously, is great. So let's go to this game against Calgary. There's a win. There's a win. That's nobody important, because Brunstrom was already in, I'm pretty sure. Pope is back. So we'll throw him back into our top 6 defensive pairing instead of Steen. Yeah, I think our team is pretty good going into this playoff run, but I'm not 100% sure we're going to go super far. Who knows? 6-0 loss there. Like, we definitely haven't had, I'd say, as insane of a season as we had in the past with, like, McDavid. But you honestly just need to have a season where you're kind of back and forth between winning and losing, and then you could win the Stanley Cup. So, because I know our roster is a lot better on paper than it's actually looking right now. Let's go to this last game of the season. There's a 2-0 win. There's another win. Another win. Clifford Schwartz has been injured. That's an AHL guy. Let's go replace player on that. Pope has been injured, so that means we're going to have to rely on Steen to start the playoffs on that top 6 pairing. We do hit 50 wins in our last game of the season against the Dallas Stars. Do we win that as well? We do win that, even though they finished with 121 points. So that's a statement victory there. 51, 25, and 6. We wrap up the season as the second best team in our division. Any other season, I think we would have won our division, but Dallas ran away with it with 121 points this year. And yeah, we might be like a 5th place team in the league with 108 points, which is kind of funny. And oh my goodness, Vance actually almost hit 60 goals. So in that last like 10 games, he had a torrential pace. 58 goal season for Asher Vance. You love to see it. 97 points. So no 100-point players this year, but the goal scoring is definitely still there. Okay, so yeah, we were the 5th best team in the league with 108 points this season. Vegas was just behind us. So we might be in a good spot in that sense. Goals for per game wise, we were the 3rd best offensive team behind Dallas and New Jersey. Goals against per game wise, we were mid-table. So I think we improved. 2.91 goals against per game. Power play percentage, our power play was kind of mid-table. So some of the special teams didn't do as good as I expected, but that's okay. Maybe it'll turn on into the postseason. Our penalty kill actually, though, was tied for the best in the league with the Vegas Golden Knights. So even though we weren't necessarily one of the best defensive teams in the league, we were very good on the penalty kill. 9 shorthanded goals, which was one of the most in the league. Not the most, though. The San Jose Sharks had 16 shorthanded goals. That's a lot. 20, 16, and 5 on home ice. 18, actually, no, that's Ottawa. What the heck? 25, 13, and 3 on home ice. 26, 12, and 3 on the road. I was going to say, because I didn't think we were going to have that bad of a record on home ice and the road, but 9 and 1 in our last 10 games. I don't know if I really like that, because I would rather kind of have a below 500 record going into the playoffs, in a sense, but who knows. Could be good signs for us still. So, Vance, yeah, 97 points, 58 goals in 82 games. This guy is a beast. He's 31 now, which is crazy. But he is approaching 700 goals. Like, he could hit 700 goals easily next season. Over 1,100 points already, too. What a year for him. 15 power play goals, 24 power play points, 9 game-winning goals, some short-handed goals. Like, Asher Vance pretty much does everything he needs to do for this team. A lot of hits, too, which is crazy that he's that much of a hitting sniper. So, yeah, Asher Vance, another great season. Hopefully he has a good postseason ahead of him. He's still got that exact elite, which is good. He's 94 overall. And, yeah, we still have him locked up for a long, long time, which I really like as well. Emil Reefer's 86 points. So a little bit of a down year for him in a sense, based on the last few years with McDavid, but still really good numbers. Obviously playing with Asher Vance helped him a lot. Yeah, good face-off numbers, considering he took over for the face-off job for the second half of the season. Wow. Okay, now I think he's only playing this good because his contract is up for renewal. Not Kirill Kabanov. Gustavs Kabanov. 70 points this year, 33 goals. That kind of came out of nowhere. His takeaway numbers were much worse this year, but that kind of came out of nowhere. Actually, not really super out of nowhere, but still really good season for him, especially in the goal-scoring department. So, yeah, he's going to ask for a lot of money this offseason, so definitely I'd say School's time here is done so we can re-sign Kabanov. Because School only had 63 points, but that's still decent. When you have a bunch of guys scoring 30 goals and he scored 27, I'll take it. But, yeah, it's going to be hard to find somebody to trade with probably to get rid of him. But he is only signed for 1 more year, so it's not like his contract is for like 5 more years. But likely he's going to be traded away in the offseason. Ziska, 31 points is pretty good. Martin's 27 points is also pretty solid. 13 points in 36 games for Adamski. Brennan Bales, 42 points, plus 21. I like that. Patterson, 27 points, plus 8. He also had kind of a breakout year. Actually, not really. That's his normal point total. He started off the season really strong, but kind of struggled in the second half, I guess. Sanders, 71 points, 61 assists. This is why I brought this guy in, because I knew he was going to set up Vance a lot, and he did just that. He's only signed for one more season, but yeah, that is a really great addition, I'd say, to the team. Recchi had 61 points with no power play points. I don't know why he's not on the power play, or why he didn't pick up any power play points, but yeah, Connor Recchi's been a really solid player too. Corrado, 58 points. I think he is not up for renewal, but I thought he was, because those type of numbers scream that he wants to get paid. Zuber's 26 points in his rookie season, minus 10. A little bit bad defensively, but a good rookie season for him in terms of points. And only 2 points in 20 games for Lane Weeks. Yeah, I think Lane Weeks might be also kind of trade bait in the offseason. We could trade away his rights or something like that. Defensively, Brunstrom hit 59 points this year. That's pretty solid. That is, I think, a career high, actually, for him. Yeah, that's a career high for him, which is crazy, considering he used to play with Cale Makar and whatnot. And the defensive numbers are pretty good, too. Spiller hit 34 points this year, plus 19. He just wants to get paid more money this offseason, I know it. Len Morris, 24 points, plus 9 is good. 19 points for Ovechkin, plus 21. Lowry, 15 points, plus 18. Pope had 14 points, plus 11. And Steen, as a depth guy in 30 games, was a plus 16 with 4 points. So Steen has been a good shutdown guy for the limited time he's played. Goalie-wise, Howden drastically improved in that second half. He only had one shutout halfway through the season. The other half, he had 5 shutouts. He went from an 895 to a 907. And then his goals against average went down to a 278. Scavella went from an 897 to an 899, so not a drastic improvement for him, but still, Howden had a good year, considering his first half was not that good. Will he be good in the playoffs is the question. I have no idea, but let's take a look at player stats across the entire league, see where Vance finished in goals. I don't think he won the Richard this year, but you never know. No, he did not win it. We could tell already. There was only a couple 100-point guys this year, so Vance actually was up there for points. Only behind Sylvain Parks, Sergei Afanaganov, Connor Bedard, not a surprise, and Benjamin Jacina. But the best goal scorer this season was Charnquist and Afanaganov with 61 goals. Vance was close to winning another Richard, but unfortunately, these two younger guys had really good years in terms of goal scoring, so... And then Boschman was like right behind him. So it was a pretty tight race for the goal scoring. And Vance came pretty close at winning a Richard and an Art Ross this season. So that's nice. Considering McDavid wasn't with this team and he still did that, is awesome. Best candidate for the Selke this year, Connor Bedard probably. 56% on the draw, 152 takeaways. Then there's also Robichaud, 140 takeaways, almost 56% on the draw. And that's probably it for the candidates, I'd say. Best defenseman this season was Quinn Hughes, as he always is, 87 points in 82 games. I was debating about trading for him, but we'd have to free up cap space, and I feel like he wouldn't really help this team much. But yeah, Quinn Hughes is a monster. I would assume he retires at the end of this year, but who knows. Denisov up there, 66 points. Langlois, 65. And Pisani, 60 points. Brunstrom finished top 10 in defensive points. I like that. Cale Makar is also up there, our former defenseman in Anaheim now, at 39. I would assume he retires this offseason, but never know on that front either. And goaltending-wise, the best goaltender for wins was Safronov. Wasn't this guy in Arizona last year? No, he wasn't. He was in Philly a few years back, but damn, yeah, this guy's had some good seasons. So Safronov up there with 48 wins. Howden actually finished second best in wins. Save percentage-wise, the best by a starting goaltender, Wesley Sweat, who was on the trading block at the deadline with a 919. Huh. I don't know if he's going to win the Vezina, but still. Best for shutouts was Gulias with 8. Best goals against average by a starter. Ned Oposo up there again. God damn it, Ned. Why is that guy always up there? Well, it's usually in the playoffs, but still. Sweat, yeah, like immediately will win the Vezina, I think. Unless the lack of wins hurts him a little bit. But still, Sweat might be up there for the Vezina, even though he was on the trading block. Best rookie this season, Charlie Gardner, who was the franchise guy that went first overall. 52 points this year. Then Chubasov. Actually, you might give it to Chubasov because of the plus-minus, but tough to tell. So there is that. Now the question is, who are we playing in round one? Who are we playing in round one? Is it going to be a team that Asher Vance could take control of? It is the Minnesota Wild, so we're going to be going up against Quinn Hughes, who just had a great year. It's been a while, I think, since we played Minnesota. I don't know if we've even really played them much in the playoffs before. I feel like it's been a while at least. Let me take a look at the Minnesota Wild and see what they are cooking up. So, top line of Jacob Pollock, who's an 18-year-old. So this is his rookie season. Ville Pettersson is their top line center. That's actually hilarious. Yeah, it's definitely been a long time since I played them. So our former 5th overall pick back 15 years ago at this point, which is crazy to say that. He's been in Minnesota the last 4 years. We have not seen him since he played with the Rangers. And yeah, he's been pretty good for them, 66 points. He's been a lot better than he was with us. But he's a career minus 197. Like, his plus-minus the last few years in Minnesota has been tragic, which means Minnesota has not been a good team. But he's getting paid for 1 more year, so he might be a free agent at the end of the season. But funny to see our former player there. Hopefully he doesn't come back to bite us. Rick Harkner is also there on the top line. Second line has a 20-year-old Lee Marsh, so another young guy, and Kent Yannick, who's 31. Ridley Grieg also. Third line of Sasha Pielmeyer. Damn, Sasha Pielmeyer followed Ville Pettersson to Minnesota, huh? I think I dealt both of them to the Rangers. Yeah, both of them went to the Rangers at the same time, and they both went to Minnesota too. So we have to deal with another former player, a 7th round pick of us 11 years ago, which is also crazy. That's so crazy. How has he been doing stat-wise? Better than he was with us, I'd say. 49 points this year. Doesn't even take a lot of penalties either, though, because he only had 2 penalty minutes all this season. And they also have Joshua Sweat and Seth Thornton. And a 4th line is Jerome Fukali, Vyacheslav Yaskin, and Josiah Teal. So yeah, Pielmeyer and Pettersson being there is kind of crazy. Hopefully we don't have to see any more former players, which I don't think so. Jason Appleby and Tate Jeffrey. I don't know why Quinn Hughes is on their second unit, or second defensive pairing, considering he just had that insane of a year, but oh well. And Preston Harding, and a top 6 of Guy Laperriere and Toby Bathgate. And that defensive core is not super great either. Goaltending wise, they do got Matthew Addison, who we did play in the playoffs when they were last in the playoffs, I'm pretty certain. Yeah, they haven't been in the playoffs, I think, since 2034. I don't remember the last time we played them, but I do remember this guy. I do remember him. He's been there for his entire career, which is pretty impressive for a goaltender. He is getting paid a lot more money, and he will likely be a free agent this year, unless they decide to re-sign him. They also have Nicholas Melnick as their backup, who they drafted as well. So there's their goaltenders. And in depth-wise, they have Jake Walker, Toby Rome, and Sean Nichols. I don't recognize that name. I feel like I've seen him before. Maybe not. Maybe it was a different Nichols. So I think we definitely have the better team on paper and the experience, but who knows? Pielmeyer and Pettersson might know our game plan. Then again, they weren't on the team when Kopitar was head coach. Let me take a look at how they did during the regular season compared to us, and then I'll be it for this episode. Because I honestly don't know how good their power play and all that was. So they actually finished 9 points behind us. They had much less goals. God damn, we scored 42 more goals than them. They were a little bit worse defensively as well. They allowed only 4 goals more than us. So they were a good defensive team, it looks like. Even though that defensive core is not that great on paper. Power play wise, we were much better by 5% almost. And penalty kill wise, we were much better by almost 4%. So they're still an okay team, don't get me wrong. But I think we definitely have the easy chance to get to the second round. But then again, this game could be kind of crazy at exact points in time. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to round 1 against the Minnesota Wild as we look to knock out Pettersson and Pielmeyer and get ourselves to the second round. Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.